Today, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-13. I cannot lie. Going into this game, I felt we were going to lose, not because of George Pickens, not because of any particular reason. You can't win every game, and sometimes you just don't make the plays, and that's what happened today. I just had that feeling that we weren't going to win today. That's it. That's the only thing I could say. Well, the two big stories of the game were the Steelers clinched a playoff spot from an Indianapolis Colts loss and a Miami Dolphins loss, and the T.J. Watt injury at the end of the game. Looks like he hurt his foot. He had a great game, though, today. He had 7 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. You know, he's a dominator. He just does what he does. He's a great player. I really hope he's not hurt going into the playoffs, but we clinched a spot, so let's stick with the positive. That's what really matters, getting into the postseason and getting healthy. Coming into the game, all you heard leading up to the game, listen, I'm not here to cover the Eagles whatsoever, but they made it sound like, Jalen Hurts was absolutely horrendous. Well, he looked pretty good today, and I'm just going to leave it at that. He kind of had his way with the Steelers secondary. They didn't really make the plays when they needed to make them. We couldn't get anything really rolling on offense, whether it was passing the ball, running the ball. We just seemed to be shut down all over. But the one positive thing about our play today was this. When it looked like the game was going to really get out of control and the Steelers were going to start to get smashed, they made a play. They forced 2 fumbles back-to-back. T.J. Watt punches the ball out. Of course, we go 3 and out, have to punt. Then there's an incident in the back of the end zone after a fumble recovery. Big Country Darnell Washington is blocking his guy all the way downfield. They go in the back of the Philadelphia Eagles end zone. There's a fight. Philadelphia Eagles player threw the first punch. Of course, he wasn't flagged. Only the Steelers were flagged. It killed the momentum, killed the drive, and I wouldn't expect anything less in Philadelphia. I can't stand Philadelphia. I really wish we would have put it on them today, but maybe we'll get a chance to beat them in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm hoping for. So Russell Wilson, he was 14 for 22 for 128 yards. Najee today, we were down by a touchdown. Now we're on the 30-yard line. We're driving. Najee gets a pitch. He's headed to his right. He just drops the ball. He fumbles the ball. Eagles recover. And it just seemed from that point on the game was over. I love Najee. I'm not blaming him for the loss. He didn't get rolling today. 6 carries for 14 yards. Jaylen Warren, 4 carries for 12 yards. We did not do anything offensively. We struggled all day today. In the passing game, Calvin Alston had a decent day, 5 receptions, 65 yards. Longest catch of the day was 31 yards. Pat Freiermuth, 3 receptions for 22 yards and a touchdown. And after that, everybody did absolutely nothing. I mean, I got to look at the total yards, but it can't be much. Pittsburgh Steelers defense did a great job on Saquon Barkley. He only got 65 yards rushing. We did our job. We shut the most important guy on the Eagles team down, and the Eagles managed to beat us in a different way, throwing the ball. Yeah, A.J. Brown really hurt the Steelers secondary. He had 8 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. Devonta Smith also had 11 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. These 2 guys thrashed the Steelers secondary. I don't want to hear about who was hurt, who didn't play. We have a number of quality defensive backs, and they just had our way with our defense. Most of the time we're in zone coverage, and these guys sliced and diced the zone coverage. Jalen Hurts hit those guys when he needed to hit them, and they went for big plays. Maybe we need to be more physical. I'm always going to be on the side of being more aggressive than being passive. So what I mean by that is, if we're getting beat in zone coverage all day long, then we need to come up and play bump and run. The first 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, especially Devonta Smith, he looks like he weighs 80 pounds. Get your hands on him, rough him up, don't let him off the line of scrimmage, and go from there. Like, you can't just sit back If you're getting crushed in zone all day, we got to mix up the coverages a little better. We got to play. Hey, look, that's not the only reason why we lost today. We just didn't make the plays when we needed to make them. And, sometimes it happens. You're not going to win every game. You're just not. Today was one of those games where you look at the tape and you just say to yourself, we just didn't make the plays. Simple as that. We were in the game. We had momentum swings. We were driving. When things got tough, we clamped down. We were playing bend but don't break type defense. And then the fight in the back of the end zone, Najee's fumble, it just was one thing after the other. The call on the field goal didn't really matter because he ended up kicking a field goal anyway, so that didn't really hurt the team. Patrick Queen had a great game today on defense. 11 total tackles, 6 solo. Alex Highsmith did his thing. 6 solo tackles, 8 in total, 1 sack, 2 for a loss. Minkah Fitzpatrick had 8 total tackles, 4 solo. I know he had some tackles for a loss, 1 or 2. TJ Watt, big day. The executioner came out. He flipped a light switch and he gave him 1,000 bolts of electricity. 7 total tackles, 5 solo, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 forced fumble. I mean, he hit the trifecta today. The only thing he was missing was an interception. The executioner does his thing day in, day out, week in, week out, year after year. I mean, you take him for granted after a while, but you better appreciate him now before he's gone. Montravius Adams came up with a big forced fumble. He forced a fumble on Cooper DeJean on a punt return. Of course, the Steelers couldn't capitalize. That's it. We just need to get healthy. We got Baltimore. We have Baltimore coming up next, and then the Chiefs. We need to get healthy, and we need to get back to Blitzburg football. We need to really get after that quarterback, shake him up, hit him. The defense, if you're getting beat in zone coverage, it's time for our defensive backs to start pressing, putting their hands on guys on the line of scrimmage. Porter's a huge corner. Sometimes I think he's at a disadvantage, always in zone coverage. Let him come up. Let him put his hands on a receiver, get nasty, get rough. Rough these pretty boy receivers up off the line of the scrimmage and mix things up. But I'll end it again with this. We're in the playoffs. The drought is over. It's been 7 years since the Pittsburgh Steelers have been in the playoffs. The drought has officially came to an end, and I couldn't be happier. Let's do our thing. Let's give these Ravens a beating